Dr. Gadis Adiva, Executive Director of Journal Perempuan, Ibu Rama Irianti, Deputy Minister of Population and Manpower at the National Development Board Bappenas, Government of Indonesia, Ibu Atnike Nova Sigiro, Program Manager, Forum Asia, Ibu Yalianti Mutmaina from UHAMKA, Jakarta, Ibu Anita Due, Editor-in-Chief of Journal Perempuan, Ibu Ahmad, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames, messieurs, selamat sore. Happy International Women's Day. Selamat Hari Perempuan Internasional. I want to say how impressed I am to see the attendance this afternoon. So we are delighted with the turnout this afternoon. This meeting is occurring. There are thousands of meetings like this occurring around the world, men and women on the internet, in person, using social media, and it's where Canada is very happy to stand in solidarity with our Indonesian partners here this afternoon. As most of you know, for Canada, for the Government of Canada, gender equality is a top priority, and it's also a top priority for the United Nations because it is Sustainable Development Goal 5, which we're all obligated to be pursuing. And we believe that actions speak louder than words, which is why Prime Minister Trudeau decided to divide up his cabinet 50% women, 50% men. Half the ministers are men and half the ministers are women. And he is very proud to call himself on the international stage a feminist and is asking other world leaders, men and women, to follow this example. And because we're here in Indonesia, I want to give Indonesia credit because the government of Indonesia, the Jokowi administration's cabinet, is by my count about 30% women, including important jobs like finance, foreign affairs, and state-owned enterprises. This is relatively good compared to other countries in the region and indeed in the world, and Indonesia deserves credit for this. But we certainly need to do more because the UN tells us that only about 23% of the seats in the world's legislatures are filled by women. This is certainly not enough. And the public service also needs to be better represented in women. I'm very pleased to say that 40% of Canada's ambassadors abroad are female, including here a 50-50 split. The Canadian ambassador to ASEAN is female, and the Canadian ambassador to Indonesia is male. So we've got a good example here of parity. And most of my managers at the embassy, including the military attaché, a colonel, are female, which I have to say makes our embassy even better than it normally would be.
Dan,
We're here today. Two of the managers are right here in the front row. So why is it important to have more women in politics? It's because research shows that women in government raise issues that others overlook. They pass legislation that others oppose. They invest in projects that others dismiss, and they seek to end abuses that others ignore. So Canada's equally balanced government has recently announced $20 million investment of official development assistance for women's sexual and reproductive health in support of women's rights worldwide. And this evening, you'll have a chance, if you wish, to witness a further announcement, an exciting new announcement, because the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, and our Minister of International Development, Bibo, will be on Facebook at 8:15 p.m. Jakarta time, live in a panel discussion to celebrate International Women's Day. For more details on that, check the embassy's website and Twitter feed. So the Canadian Embassy is very pleased for the third year working with Journal Perempuan to support such an event to promote women's human rights and their economic and political empowerment. The celebration today will focus on women in public policy, which we think is a very well-chosen theme. It's important because the data are very clear. Women generally receive less income for their labor than men and are more likely to have irregular, informal, and vulnerable forms of employment. Fewer women are found in positions of economic leadership, and high rates of violence against women persist, which is deeply concerning. So we need a public policy that is designed in a way that addresses these many inequities and begins to correct them, to ensure that women are offered the same opportunities, but also the same human rights protections as men. And one way of doing this, of course, is in enforcing and implementing policy to have many more women in positions of public service delivery, including, for example, police and judiciary. And I think governments, including our government, need to be attuned and are becoming more attuned to the fact that women's empowerment contributes to inclusive and sustainable economic growth. It improves economic productivity and reduces poverty. When women are empowered, opportunities for development expand, and everyone benefits, including men and boys. And I'm really pleased at this stage just to say that I'm very pleased to see men in the audience here learning along with me and sharing experiences. It's a good sign of support to see Indonesian men here in our audience. Greater equality does translate into stronger father engagement, which reduces the frequency of behavioral problems in boys, while decreasing delinquency and economic disadvantages for families of low-income families. And that's certainly our experience in Canada, and I think it's a worldwide phenomenon. So obviously, to achieve the progress we're all seeking, we need to see more public policy which is rights and gender-based and inclusive. And so your discussion of public policy as it affects women is very much relevant today. Because government's policy and laws must be sensitive to the different impacts they have on men and women, and there are different impacts. But that's not all. Public policy should be transformative by investing in the capacity and leadership potential of women and girls. But this advancement cannot be, that we all seek, cannot be limited only to the public sector. Business, the private sector needs to step up and needs to take its responsibility seriously, because research shows that companies that have females on their boards of directors and in their management lead to stronger financial performance, better return on investment. But today, of the CEOs of the 500 biggest companies in the world, only 4%, there are only 4% led by women. And in your discussions on policy this afternoon, do bear in mind that there are European statistical studies that show that better equality amongst genders is associated with a higher quality of life, lower chances of depression, lower divorce rates, and lower possibility of becoming a victim of a violent death for both men and women. For these reasons, Canada has a history of investing with our Indonesian partners, both the government and NGOs, official development assistance focused on improving the situation of women. So Canadian Development Assistance has helped integrate gender-based budgeting, which is something you might want to talk about this afternoon. It provides better health services to marginalized women, and we, through our development assistance, working with our partners, push for guaranteed female political representation through the passage of the political party law. Yeah. And I was listening earlier about some concerns about violence against women. So in that context, let me just say that a new $2.6 million project with Oxfam Canada and Koalisi Perempuan is focusing on preventing violence against women and girls, which, of course, as I said, is an important area of focus for our development program at the Embassy. So let me close by saying you have a very distinguished panel of experts coming up. I look forward to observing your proceedings, and I wish you an informative and enjoyable celebration here in Jakarta. So on behalf of Canada, to Indonesia, happy International Women's Day. Selamat Hari Perempuan Internasional. Terima kasih. Merci beaucoup, mesdames et messieurs. Oh, and we're just going to, when Brian Adams, our rock star, was here, he got a selfie with all of the assembled 3,000 people, and I'd like to do the same with all of you, because I'm just trying to figure this out. If you don't mind, and then you can continue, but I'll do a... You can all, solidarity. Thank you.